Hi everyone, it's Margaret with Creative Stamping with Margaret. Thanks for joining me today. Our project today features the Circle Sayings bundle from the annual catalog, and this is a great set. It has a variety of sayings, a lot of different ways you can decorate the front or the interior of your card. It also includes a 2 3/8 circle punch, which any of the basic shapes that come in a punch I just love. They're wonderful to use. So we will move this to the side and I'll show you the card that we're making. We're making a Sending You a Warm Hello, and we have stamped the background using the sun and waves stamp from the stamp set. We're also using the Warm Hello and the Sending You a. And I'm going to show you how to place that stamp onto your block to ensure that you get it lined up properly. These photopolymer stamps are wonderful in that you can shape them if you need to fit in an area, but then you also have to be careful on some things that you don't want to distort it if you're going to die cut. And I've done a video using I believe it was the hats. I forgot what that was called, but be sure to check out that. Look at my YouTube channel to check out the things that I caution on using the photopolymer. But back to today's card. So we have stamped our background and then we're coloring that. This is one of the cards from the June card class. So if you ordered a kit to go, I had a live class, plus I always offer my classes as a kit to go. You will have received all of the materials to replicate this card. The only thing you will need to have on hand are your inks, as well as your stamp set. If you do not have the Circle Sayings bundle, you can order that by just visiting my website. Go to Shop Now, and the link will take you to the store, and just search for the Circle Sayings bundle. The other items that you're going to need for this card, and all of the materials used and the cut dimensions are in the description of the video, so you don't have to worry about writing those down. But in the kit we have our Daffodil Delight card base. There are 2 pieces of basic white. One is the 4 by 5 1/4 for the card interior. The other is a 3 3/4 by 5 inch, and I'm just going to place that down here because we're going to stamp the front on that. You also have a piece of the Tahitian tied cardstock, and that's going to be our layering panel. Then we have a piece of white, and that you will be using the Stylish Shapes die to cut that. Now if you ordered the kit, it's already been die cut for you. Then we have a piece of the Daffodil Delight, a square of that, and that's to use our 2 3/8 punch on. And you also have the in color Tahitian tied metallic ribbon, and that's the 22-24 in color Tahitian tied metallic ribbon. So let's get started. The inks that you are going to need are the Daffodil Delight Tahitian tied and the Memento Tuxedo Black. Other items for coloring that we'll need are the blends in those colors, the Tahitian tied blends and the Daffodil Delight. We'll come back to the sentiment in just a few moments, but let's do our background first. And as an option, I did run a Wink Stella over the background just to give it a little shimmer. So that is an option that you could do. So let's ink up our stamp. And I'm going to be stamping off the edge as I place these. So let me just get a scrap piece of paper here to put under my where I'm stamping to keep my work surface just a little cleaner. And I have stamped 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now you can randomly stamp these anywhere. But I like to remember the rule of odd numbers. It doesn't always work out, but in most cases it does. And then we'll just put a little bit down in this bottom corner. And you could also stamp the edge of your envelope if you wanted, or do the interior. I did stamp this on an interior earlier and decided I really did not like it. It took up so much of my card interior. And as you see, I can never stamp the same, which is the way it should be. They're handmade cards. As someone said, they're a hug in the mail. So now let's pull in our blends. And the first thing I did was I'm just coloring with my light, the sun, with the Daffodil Delight, and I'm just sort of flicking this across where the sun rays would be. This was such a fun card to come up with. I knew I wanted to use this stamp set, or this particular stamp from the set, and I just kept on playing around until I came up with this design. See how quickly the coloring takes place. I'm not filling in the sun rays. I'm just sort of flicking over them. In some areas it may fill in, but that's okay. And this color combination, the Tahitian Tide and Daffodil Delight, I think is a beautiful combination. And for those of you that are not familiar with my kit to go, each month I offer a kit to go, and it includes designs for 4 projects. Usually they're all 4 cards. Occasionally I may throw a different project in, but typically we do 4 cards, and I provide all of the pre-cut materials and embellishments that you would need. You just need to provide your the stamp set, your inks, and adhesives. And then I do a video, as I'm doing now, that I provide, that I send the link to everyone. Now I'm taking the dark Daffodil Delight, and I just went around that outside edge where it would be a little darker, and then I'm just going to blend that a little. And you see I have just, and I'm going to go back to my brush tip on this to do that, just so that blends, and as it dries it'll blend even more. But as I was saying on the kit to go, so then I will prepare a video and send it out to everyone so that they can follow along as you're doing, watching, and that way they will know how to assemble that card. And starting next month in July, I'm going to include PDFs so that everyone has a basic written instruction along with the materials so that they can add that to their file. That has been requested, so I thought I would start adding a brief PDF to the kits. Or if you just want the PDF, I will offer those for sale as well. And that is starting in July of 2023. And we just blend this, and we're going to do the same with the waves. And now the thing with waves, and if you think about the water, there's white caps. So as you notice, I've left little gaps. Those are the white caps that we see a lot with the waves. So you don't need to color that all the way in. And there again, I'm just doing the streaks. Let me switch to my brush in. And this is the light Tahitian Tide. And there's no need to think that you have to fill in and color all of it. Actually, this design looks good even just as a black and white. It would make a gorgeous black and white card. Speaking of black, I hit my finger on the side of the Memento ink pad, so now I'm wearing it. Now let's pull in our dark, and I'm using the nib in, and I'm just gonna go over a few of these where the waves, the white cap wave is, and just a few of these streaks just to add a little bit of contrast. As you would see, the water has different shades in it. We have our last one here. Same thing, we just add these streaks. So there. Now we have our background. We can pull in the other items to layer. So let's fold our card base, burnish that well. Now we can add our Tahitian tide layer. Whoops, ran off the edge there. So we'll glue this in place. Next we will add our background layer that we just finished stamping and coloring. And I mean, this makes just a gorgeous card as is. You could put the sentiment in the interior if you wanted. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I was going to show you how to go about fixing this, doing this circle. I have a pre-cut circle here for us, and this, as I said, was cut with the Stylish Shapes stitch circle. So I want this sending you to fit inside that. But you see, if I just lay it down, it's going to run, it's going to go off to the side. It really doesn't fit in there. So I'm just taking my finger and just sort of creating a little arch, and then I'm just going to place that down, and I'm going to continue to angle that to see if I have that correctly. That looks pretty good. Let me just look at it on this side. That looks pretty good. That one's even a little bit better. So see, I've created the arch. Now I'm going to bring in my Daffodil Delight. We're going to ink this up, and we're going to stamp just right inside of that stitching. Well, I did not get that lined up good. See if I can. Well, let me grab another one. I'm going to have to cut one. So give me just a minute here. Thanks for your patience on that. Usually I have a couple cut side by side, and I thought, well, I won't need it on this one today. I'm going to flip this over though. I could have just flipped it over and used the reverse, but just make sure I'm inking this good to get that. And I did, see? So, and I still may use that one, but now I have this one. So let's get that stamped, and that should turn out. That did. So move the Daffodil Delight out of the way, and now let's pull in our Tahitian Tide, and we're going to stamp Warm Hello. And you could use any of the sentiments from that stamp set. I just thought with the waves and the sun that a warm hello was would be quite appropriate. Of course, you could also use sending you a smile. That's a good one. So now we will pull in our 2 3/8 inch circle punch, and let's punch the layering panel. And I've added this using our stamping dimensionals just to add some height to that. And then the same, I have added dimensionals to this for the front, to go on the front of the card. So we have a little bit of elevated height. Then to complete the card front, just take a little piece of this Tahitian Tide metallic ribbon. We're going to tie a small bow. Adjust that. Cut a little bit more off of those ends. And we will add that to our card front using a glue dot. And I like to take my nail, my fingernail, and just sort of roll that a little. You could also add a dot of glue. And we'll just add that. So there. We have completed our Warm Hello Circle Saying card. This is one of the cards from the June 2023 monthly card class, and I hope you've enjoyed this class. Be sure to look at the description for the list of materials, or check out my blog. I will be showcasing this on my blog in the near future. Again, thanks for joining me. Have a great rest of your day.